What is up, guys? Welcome back to another video, and today we're going to be doing an ABS tutorial, how to turn it off, and tips and tricks on what to do to basically drive with it off, especially if you are a new player. This is tailored specifically more for inexperienced players and people who are learning to take the ABS off. So just like my tutorial with no line, the first thing you want to do to learn is practice. You have to turn it off, okay? You just have to do it. You're going to be slow, you're gonna make a lot of mistakes, you're going to be spinning, you're going to be crashing, but that is normal. Once you figure it out, it's going to be like it never happened. So we're going to start. I'm gonna get right to the point. I want to make this as simple as possible and not confusing for you guys. So I'm gonna turn on my anti-lock brake so I can explain the ABS. ABS prevents your tires from basically locking. um, and ABS in your brake bias that you see on your MFD HUD. Um, the higher it is, the more front brakes you are applying. The lower the brakes are going to the rear tires. So if you have it high, your fronts are gonna lock. You have it low, your rears are gonna lock, which causes the spins and hard braking zones. In this game, the inside tires lock a lot, and it's very easy, it's very sensitive, especially in the wet. So I'm gonna show you something very high right here. High braking, it is not locking at all. See that right there? Just not locking at all with the brake bias on. So now what we're gonna do is I'm gonna keep the brake bias at 60. I'm gonna apply the same amount of throttle. Front front right completely gone right there. Obviously, the more you lock like that, the more tire wear it is. So it is something you have to be very precise when it comes to your braking. I'm having ABS off. It is definitely the faster way to do it. Or no assist is always faster because you have more control of the car. But you see right there, I didn't lock, but I think that's just because I know how much pressure to put on the brake. Um, of course, I have a lot of time and a lot of hours in the game, but you see I'm not locking there. But if you're in the middle of a race and you kind of hit it too hard, you will just be you will be locking everywhere. Obviously, the more fuel, the weight of the car is also going to affect how much you lock as well. So it could be deceiving when you're using a lower fuel amount. Also, when you, let's say, lose the front wing, it actually happened to me by experience. Somebody told me about this. I lost my front wing one time, and I instantly started locking my front tires, and I had no idea that had to do with the downforce, and that's something that I learned by playing. So I'm going to take off my wing here. All right. That's a way to do a lesson. So now I'm going to show you the effects it does having no front wing. On top of the car not turning, not having the downforce at the front of the car makes the car more prone to front locking. So let me show you guys right here. You see that right there? Now that the car is not turning, having more difficulty, you applying the throttle to it makes it really, really difficult to not lock. It doesn't mean that it's obviously always going to happen, but you see, it just, you're fighting the car so much and you're trying to brake so much, you are going to lock even more because you have no downforce to turn. The car is gonna probably keep going straight. You're gonna apply more brake and you're gonna lock even easier. It's just extremely difficult situation to be in. So you're gonna have to race it. You're gonna have to race the brake bias to be able to control the car in a situation like this. Okay, so we're running out of fuel, so we gotta go back to the garage. So hopefully That is making sense. So brake, so ABS. I gotta repair the car. So ABS prevents your brakes from locking, whether it's the rears or the fronts. No ABS, you have full control of where it locks. Now, we're going to go why it is faster, okay? So when you're going into corners, you can turn the car with your brakes, okay? Um, there was one time where the Charles Leclerc himself was having trouble with his brakes. He wasn't turning very well, and his engineer told him turn your car with your brakes. Um, so there's times where you can, not times, you will do it a lot in this game. You will gain time by turning basically with your brakes. What that means is you got to put the brake bias to the rear in certain corners where it allows you to rotate. Sometimes I do it. You see that right there? You hear the screech. Sometimes I'm in a mid corner and I tap the brakes quick, and it allows the car to kind of drift a very marginal amount where I can continue that turn the car. And like I said earlier, the lower the brake bias, the more you put in the brakes to the rear, the better the car turns. So when you're doing that, you're allowing the car to rotate a lot better because you have less overheating at the front. There's nothing stopping your tires, and you're locking your rears. You see right there how smooth it turned with the ABS at 52, with the brake bias at 52. It is difficult. It is hard. It takes practice. It took me a lot of practice, uh, but it's definitely the faster way to go. So for a corner like this, you might want to race it. But as you see there, I'm not sure if you noticed, I had a small correction. That's because my rears locked a little bit, but I was able to turn very well. So I'm going to do a lap here. I'm gonna try to talk through it. I'm not gonna go for time. I'm just gonna try to do the best lap that I can for you guys. Basically a push-up so you guys can see. So here we go. See there? My rears locked a little bit, but I allowed the car to rotate. Now for a turn like this, heavy braking zone, you want to increase it. You see there, my car is drifting a little bit, but it's giving me a really nice entry.
You'll need to be mindful of your speed when entering the pit lane. If you hit the limiter line too fast, you'll pick up a penalty. Watch the on-screen prompts that show your target speed and distance to the limiter line.
And there you have it. So you see, you kind of got to see in a few of the turns that the car did drift in the rear, but I was not spinning out, I was not fighting it, but it was allowing me to just position the car in such a beneficial way where I can have a really good entry and a really good exit. Because the main thing is you want to go slow in, fast out, slow is smooth, smooth is fast type of deal. So when you're using the no ABS to your advantage, when you're using the brake bias to your advantage, you're using the brake bias to gain time, you move it and switch it to corners where you feel like, okay, maybe more front brake bias uh, would allow me to be a little safer on this corner where I'm struggling, where I feel like I'm losing the car, or this next corner I'm not turning very well. My brake bias at 56, you can lower it to even 55. It doesn't have to be crucial. You don't have to move it by 2-3 clicks. It could just be one click. One click can really make the difference. And I'm speaking from experience, of course. Uh, the brake, even though I drove with no ABS from the
The
beginning.
report's good. We're looking at a
I
dry
drove with no
session.
assist from the beginning. I didn't understand what I was doing, so it was, and that's why it was so difficult for me, and why it was such a struggle for me, because I didn't understand what I was doing at all. I was just doing it, and I eventually learned how to drive with these without the assist, and I wasn't spinning, but I didn't understand the brake bias. I did not understand what it does, but of course now I do, which is why I'm making this video. Hopefully it helps you guys, and you guys suffer less than what I had to do. Yeah, that basically summarizes the vehicle. That's basically it. So in summary, ABS prevents locking. No ABS will lock the tires. Remember, the front tires are more prone to getting locked in this game, a lot more. Brendan Lee also talked about this in a video. Um, Also remember the next point, the more front ABS brake bias you have, the more brakes you're applying to the front, the chances are of your fronts to lock, especially your inside tire, depending where you're turning left or right. The lower your brake bias is, of course, it will be the more brakes you're applying to the rear of the car, and that's when the hard braking zone, like turn 1 here, you are more prone to lose the rear, and which is what causes you to like spin out, and a lot of time it just feels very random. But sometimes it could be your brake bias might just be too low, and even though you didn't apply the brakes too hard, it's just one of those things where you just touch the brakes. Maybe you were also on the throttle as well, and you see that right there, how I'm turning the car, and it spins out the car. And hard braking zone, it'd be a different story, of course. But you see, I'm applying a little bit of brakes, and I'm gonna try to drift the car right here for you guys, so you guys can see. You guys can see it a little bit. Obviously, it won't be that aggressive during a race, but that's basically uh, the core of it. Using your brakes to turn the car is how you gain lap time. Is the reason why it's faster. So just take a moment, get into a practice session like this, turn off collisions like I did here, and just do laps and just practice and practice until you kind of figure it out. I recommend doing it in the same track because the fundamentals, like I said with the line, are going to translate to every track. So I would say do it in the same track so you just kind of get an understanding of how to do it, and then you can start moving around. Obviously start racing on other tracks or whatever. But once you kind of just you can have the repetition of the same track over and over, because if you switch tracks again, the turns are gonna be different, the brake bias is gonna be different. So yeah, do it on the same track. It's just my recommendation. You don't have to do it like that, but I think we'll just make it a lot easier for you guys. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope this video helped. I hope it was simple. I try to make it as simple as possible and straightforward. So hopefully you guys like the video. Please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and allows people to find my channel. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you are interested, I have a free Discord channel. It's just a hangout place for gamers and sim racers. The link is right on the description of this video and on the homepage of my channel. So once again, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.